And we welcome you back. I'm Rick Sanchez here in the CNN newsroom. Tonight we've prepared a special segment for you about the death penalty in this country. We're the only westernized nation that sentences people to death and actually carries out the execution. Already this year, 21 prison inmates have died by lethal injection. Most of them, in fact, almost all of them in one state. More on that in just a minute. We're going to begin, though, with one Texas woman who was scheduled to die 3 days ago. Kathy Lynn Henderson, convicted of murdering a baby under her care in 1994. All of her appeals are gone, but a court stayed her execution just 48 hours before her date with a death chamber. Now, here's why Kathy Lynn Henderson's case is on our radar tonight. If she is executed, she will be one of a very small group of people. Women are very rarely executed when compared to men. The reason, though, is not quite as obvious as you may think.
Here in Huntsville right now, protesters are out there.
February 1998, Carla Faye Tucker is put to death in Texas.
Now anticipating that Carla Faye Tucker will be put to death shortly.
It is here that she is scheduled to die by lethal injection.
May 2000, Christina Riggs dies in Arkansas by lethal injection.
In shackles and handcuffs, the convicted serial killer.
October 2002, Eileen Warnos given 6 death sentences.
That I killed those men. I robbed them and I killed them as cold as ice.
Executed in Florida. 3 separate cases with one glaring common thread. They represent a rarity in the American justice system.
March 30, 1998 at 7:13 a.m., she was put to death in Florida's electric chair.
A woman given the ultimate punishment. Don't misunderstand. Executions in this country are anything but rare. But since the Supreme Court reinstated capital punishment in 1976, of the nearly 1,100 people lawfully executed in this country, only 11 of them were women. Just 11. That's one woman for every 98 men put to death. Why?
Inmate Carla Faye Tucker. We will now proceed with the execution.
Still not guilty.
Is it because women aren't committing the crime as often as men? Partially. At least we know they're not arrested as often. In 2005, the FBI reported that women were arrested in about 1 in 10 homicide cases. Some criminologists explain it by generalizing, saying that, on average, women are instinctively less aggressive, inherently less violent, nurturers by nature.
In our culture, men are taught to use violence as a solution, as a social controlling device. We're taught to be competitive, to be aggressive physically and socially.
One answer is that women don't kill as often as men. But the second answer is that even women who do kill are less likely to get the death penalty than men.
And criminologists point out that when men and women kill, they often do so differently.
Women are motivated to kill by different circumstances than men. They find themselves in fundamentally different circumstances in relationship to their victim.
Experts will tell you women seldom murder for money. It is more likely that they will kill their children, their husbands, their family members, people close to them.
I haven't lost hope.
Betty Lou Beats shot her husband dead. Christina Riggs smothered her 2 children in their beds. Frances Newton killed her husband, her 7-year-old son, and 21-month-old daughter. Juries gave all these women the death sentence. But even that is not the rule. It's the exception.
One of these things that sort of the legal system and people in the legal system have sort of come to live with to some degree. Prosecutors are probably more willing to give plea offers in cases of women. The cases, as I said earlier, may be more sympathetic in terms of what provoked what finally happened. But it's still quite an enormous disparity, which I haven't seen anybody explain well.
Well, whether it can be explained, pardon me, or not, and whether you support capital punishment or not, the numbers are there and they don't lie. The death penalty is an option in 38 states. Many of them rarely or never use it, but these are the states, 3 states, that use it the most. Oklahoma, since 1976, 84 people executed there. Virginia, same time period, 98 people executed. But those 2 states combined don't even make half the number of men and women that are put to death in the state of Texas. 393 there. We have questions about Texas, and joining us now live, the man who can help to answer them, Craig Watkins is the District Attorney for Dallas County. So how about it? Is it fair to say that Texas kills an inordinate amount of people, or executes, I should say?
Well, if you look at the numbers, I think that's a fair question to have. Texas is a little different than the majority of the states in the United States. We have a system that is judicious, and it looks at the underlying issues as to why these people are committing these crimes, and based upon that, we decide if a person needs to go to death row.
But why is it that Texas has more than other states, though? I mean, are you quicker to pull the trigger on somebody?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think we need to look at the larger issue here. I think the initial question was that women are less likely to receive the death penalty in the United States, but I think the larger issue is, if you look at it in Texas, 41% of the individuals that are on death row are African-American men. And I think that's the issue.
Let me follow up then with what you just said. Given what we know statistically about difference between men and women, the difference between African Americans and non-African Americans, the difference between Hispanics and non-Hispanics, is the death penalty in your state fair?
Well, you know, I can tell you from the perspective of Dallas County. Now, I've looked at the stats dealing with Houston and the other counties that we have in the state, and I think that we may be a little liberal in applying the death penalty. I think that we need to slow it down a little bit and look at the reason that we are going forward with so many death sentences, and it's
that's interesting. You're saying at your own state, and you're a DA there in Dallas, you're saying your own state's a little too liberal, a little too quick to want to implement the death penalty.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm surprised hearing that from you, by the way.
Well, if you look at the history of who I am, I'm the District Attorney in Dallas County, and I was just elected 6 months ago, and I'm the first African-American DA in the state. So my point of view may be a little different than what you're normally used to hearing from district attorneys from Texas.
Right, because here's the point. I mean, look, if you're a white guy and you got a lot of money, statistics say you're not going to get the death penalty. If you're a black guy or a Hispanic guy and you don't have a lot of money, statistics say you're very likely to get the death penalty, right?
Well, I think it goes further than the amount of money you have. I think it's the mentality and the approach that we use in Texas. And I don't think it's fair when you have 41% of the individuals on death row in Texas are of color,
right,
and we only make up a small percentage of the state. I think that it goes to...
Yeah, that's an inordinate number. There shouldn't be 41% of the people waiting to be killed in Texas who happen to be African American when the population of African Americans in Texas is relatively small.
You're right. Yeah, we have had this...
It just doesn't add up.
No, we have had this tough on crime mentality in Texas for several years.
Right.
But if you look at the statistics and the numbers, violent crimes in this state and all states across the country have really not changed for the last 50 years.
But, you know, that's interesting. I know I got to cut you off because my producers are saying we've got another segment we've got to get to, but it's interesting. We could talk for a long time on this, and certainly we can talk as well about the history of some of the governors in the state of Texas. We won't go there now, though. We thank you for the conversation, though. Good stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, Hamas took control of Gaza this week, and today Fatah struck back